Welcome back, everybody, for our latest video game book club, part one, Preston's first pick of the year,
Yeah.
which is, as we said earlier in the week, a makeup, right, for
Yes.
what I would call maybe the biggest fumble
Call it
in video game book
miscommunication.
club
We could say that.
history,
Yeah. Because
right? Yeah, we are playing a real Castlevania game this time, Symphony of the Night. I can't wait to get into it. This is the game that obviously we all know I had not played.
none of us have.
Preston had not. No,
None of us
Christian had
have.
not played to completion. Oh, I thought you
No,
had played it a little.
Nope.
No,
no,
wonderful.
I know a lot about Symphony of the Night just based off of
Yeah,
seeing speedruns of it and different
Yeah.
things. And
Same.
I always knew the little thing that a lot of the spells in that game are fighting game combos. So I've always known that little piece of it.
so
Which
I can't
don't
activate any of them.
well,
We'll talk
yeah
about that.
and no, but we'll talk about
We'll
that.
talk
So
about it.
we'll get there. But yeah, so I've like there's things that I've known about it, but I have actually never played it. So
Awesome.
I will say, yeah, like I have always been more of a fan of the Metroid in Metroidvanias.
Same.
And we'll see by the end of this playthrough. Maybe that changes, maybe it doesn't. Who knows? I don't know. Here's what I
Yeah.
will say though, because I know we are about to get some varied reactions on this game throughout when Preston goes to talk about this. So I just want to say, before we going forward, can all three of us at least, we'll just set the playing field, we can all agree that this game is definitely better than Lords of Shadow.
Oh,
Yes.
100%. I mean, it's
Easy.
a low bar,
There is,
bro.
there
Low
are.
bar.
I have an entire
Okay.
Low
bestiary
bro.
and not a single chupacabra in it. Better game.
Yes, it's fair.
Yes.
I did see
Okay.
I did see a warg though. You guys see the warg? They do have wargs in there.
Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe, yeah, I don't know. I can look. Not. We'll talk about this too when Preston gets into it in a minute. Not to say this game's not without its shitty enemies, but none of them are chupacabras, so we
I
are
mean,
good to go.
shitty enemies are just enemies that were hard and not fun to fight
Shitty
against.
enemies. Hard period.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So, like I said, I knew this is how this is gonna go. I just want to, just so that everybody can be clear about whatever complaints or not come out of here. It is definitely a better game than Lords of Shadow.
Yep.
That is the baseline we are definitely starting at.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes, correct.
All right, Preston, take it away.
All right, Castlevania Symphony of the Night, one of the most praised Castlevania games ever. It's one of the most
I think you
praised
could just
games, period.
rewind that and say, yep, there it is. I think it's
Period.
one of the most praised
Period,
games,
period,
period.
Came out in 1997. Was going to be originally made for the 32X as Castlevania The Bloodletting, but that was canceled to focus on the PlayStation.
Arguably, okay, I say arguably a better name. Bloodletting is pretty dope. Like
Bloodletting's
that's a pretty
cool.
hardcore name.
But yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Castlevania has a bunch of games out there. They all have pretty cool, like subtitles on there. So yeah, this is for the PS and the Sega Saturn.
So, also a little fact for people that like to collect physical copies of games like Preston and I do. This game is still costing people a whopping $135 on average.
Yes, depending on the quality and things of that nature. I'm always on the
Not
eye looking out
not
for
as bad as I thought.
lower quality.
They must have printed an F ton of these because I thought it would be
it's
more.
Castlevania. It's a
But
huge.
yeah,
yeah.
so there. But I mean, there still must be like a ton in circulation.
Yeah. But it's crazy that it's
Yeah.
still $135, nothing to sneeze
Yeah.
at.
Yeah, and then all the
No.
remakes, or not remakes, but the collections or whatever they want to put out there, like they've redone voice acting, they've redone things on the game to make it a different game. So like that's why we chose the PlayStation 1 version. Because it had everything original, nothing was changed, so that way we weren't getting different bosses, anything like that. Doing the Sega Saturn version, we're not doing anything because the PlayStation 3 or 4 collection has like different voice acting in it, different art, some different art in there. It's not wildly different, but it's different enough to it would change some things up.
The voice acting. We'll talk about this too. So, I'm surprised that you say it's original. It's surprisingly good.
So
Like the
a lot of
recording,
people
like,
say
not to
it's
say not to
bad,
say the
but-
inflection. No, Christian. Not to say the inflection and stuff is good. I'm talking about the actual just physical quality of the voices and
Like
the recording.
the audio quality?
Audio.
Yeah, the audio
Okay.
quality.
Yes.
The audio
Yeah,
quality.
okay. I can get down with you there.
Was
All right.
actually like surprisingly good compared because the
Yeah.
music is that like 16-bit sort of like music that you get. Not to say it's bad either, but like the recording quality of the voices, I thought had been redone. To be honest, so I was surprised you say it's original. That's good.
Yeah.
Nope.
Oh yeah. 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 All right. So a little more on
Yeah, the voice
this.
acting is great.
And some of the translation of the writing too. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a little over the top. It's
What
a
is a man?
it's definitely a 90s game, right?
yeah, yeah.
All right.
Mm,
This marks the debut for artist Ayami Kojima. She did the music for this. Also, you may have heard some of the music that she's done in, let's say, Dynasty Warriors 7 and 8. And if you're a fan of the spiritual successor to this game or this series, she also did some stuff for Bloodstained, Ritual of the Night, which I played. I played one of the Blood games. I got to check which one, because there's Curse of the Moon and Ritual of the Night. I forget which one I played.
I think Ritual of the Night was the first one, so that sounds
The
like
first
that's
one,
probably
yeah.
what I
That would
played.
be the one. It was the one where you could change between three characters on the fly.
I
Do we
think
have that on
that's
Steam
one.
Library? I think we do, don't we?
I think so. Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
Yeah,
a Jake family
yeah.
member
It's a good
thing.
game. I played it on. I played it. It was on iOS for a while. I played it on there. It's good.
Yep.
Music by Mishiru Yamane. They also did music for Rocket Knight, Sparksters games, Skullgirls, and also did music for Bloodstained. Let's see here. Directed by Taru Hagihara, and in their assistant director debut, I'm gonna fucking butcher these names. I should have looked up the pronunciation before I
Nah, you've
use
been
that
nailing
name.
them. Keep going.
Igarashi.
I thought Igarashi was the main one because it's always like they always called like Igavanias.
Yes, Igarashi is
That's
the
what I
one who
thought.
ended up being the assistant director on this one, and then directing and producing most of them that came after that. I saw a
Yep.
little fun section to where he was trying to get another Castlevania game going, but they decided not to make that Castlevania game. Do you know what game they decided to make instead?
No.
Lords of Shadows.
Yeah, that makes sense because then he left,
And then he left.
and then he got his Kickstarter for
Yep.
Bloodstained and
Started
there you
the
go.
company Artplay, who then made Bloodstained as well.
So he did not make Lord of Shadow.
Correct,
No.
and left and made a
And
way
they're
better
like,
game.
we want to still make a Castlevania game, but the guy that just made that one left, so let's give it to somebody else. And they made Lord of Shadow. I hope that person like was run out of the industry.
And I'm sorry,
No,
the,
because
I
they
still wish them
made
success.
they made two
I
more.
still wish them success. Like I hope they're surviving
Or
and
at
not
least
on the
one
street or
more.
anything. But like, I hope you're not in the video game industry.
well, it's Mercury. Was it Mercury Steam? And they made a really good Metroid. So
They did. They came back to make Metroid Dread, so maybe it's just stick with 2D games.
maybe whoever was there left, and who knows what happened. It's been a
Yeah,
long
who
time
knows?
between those two.
You know what? While you talk, Preston, I'll look that up.
Sure. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of go into like the few story points that are in this game. A lot of this game is exploring. This is a non-linear Metroidvania, which means you can kind of explore this castle as much as you want. Outside of, there's a blue door, you need something to open that up with. There's this grate, you need an ability to get through it. Outside of those like stopping points, which is done in every Metroidvania game. There are some parts here and there that where like you'll stop and there will be some dialogue. Not a lot though, so it won't be super duper long, but let's get through it. All right, starting off, this game starts with you as Richter Belmont playing at the end section of Rondo of Blood. So that section we see is from the previous game. This is a sequel to it. After you take down Dracula, does a cool little thing where the photo kind of zooms out and burns away. And then we get started with like the scroll of 4 years later. Richter vanishes and Dracula's castle is back. Alucard wakes from a long slumber to destroy the castle, while Maria is looking for missing Richter Belmont.
Anytime that we were in this beginning part when we were reading about Richter, like they say Richter, I always think of the meme. So the new Nocturne series deals with Richter, right? But people have been changing because he obviously fights with his fists in that show. It's they changed his name to it's like Richter Walk 'em Down Belmont, like just like walking and beating the shit out of people. And so and when this title crawl happened, my first thought was them being like, "So here's Richter Walk 'em Down Belmont." I was like, "God, so good."
So after that opening crawl, you will show up as Alucard. That's the main character we're playing in this game. Now, there's other versions of this game which will allow you to play as other characters. You could play as Richter. You could play as Maria. Think the way, from what I remember, and again, I don't have this written down, but I'm pretty sure the way that you play those characters is the save file name. You put the name down of those characters and you get to play with them. Someone like Maria, there's a lot of magic going on with what you can do with her.
Was that an OG thing, or was that only in the remakes of that? Because I saw
No,
that online. Chris and I were talking about that, but I thought it was only
No,
for like the ones that came later. That was the OG too.
yep, yeah, it's in all the versions. Yep.
it's a lot of versions.
So
So,
back in the day, how are you? How do you figure that out in '97? Is that by
You just type
chance?
the name. It's just by chance.
by
By
chance
chance, you put in.
or
I think
game guides.
yes, yeah, you could probably
Yeah, that's
get a
true.
game
Game
guide, but
guides.
before that, like I'm sure somebody was like, "I'm gonna change my name to Simon," or "I'm gonna change my
I'm gonna
name to
role play
Trevor,"
it.
Or their name is
Absolutely,
Simon.
right?
or "I'm
Right.
gonna change my name to Richter." Like I'm gonna do it and then just like do the thing, right?
And
And then
yeah.
it happened, and they were like, "Well, fuck! Now I gotta try all the names."
Someone
and then they
gets
probably
one
went
name
and tried all of
down.
them, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Someone named Maria plays the game, puts her name in there. She's like, oh, fuck. I'm playing as Maria. And finds out from other friends.
Imagine the kid, because there was
Not
probably at
knowing.
least one of them. Imagine the kid who typed Richter, like just off the jump, played as Richter, and then went to the like playground the next day and was telling people like, "Yeah, I've been playing blah blah blah," and then people start talking about Alucard, and they're like, "Who
What?
the fuck are they talking about?" Yeah,
That's how it was back then. All right, so you tear through the castle as Alucard, and you walk up upon death. He essentially, long story short, asks you to leave. You say no, I will not. He does the Vania thing, and we lose all of our items and powers.
and I was like, "Yeah, there it
That's-
is. This is it."
Yeah,
Also,
that's about right.
we're really. I just need to be very clear here because I think we're right in that opening cutscene with Richter. You walk up on Dracula, and like Dracula delivers one of the most ridiculous lines.
Is it when he throws the glass on the
He goes,
ground?
"What is a man?" And then just like throws the glass and it shatters. He's like, he is nothing but a collection of secrets or some dumb shit. And I was
It
like,
just the glass also like bounced for 1-2 like pixels and like
Yeah.
ding, ding, and then
and
shatters.
it shatters, and I was like, oh boy.
Yeah.
Like I was like, okay.
Just gotta remind yourself, this is a Japanese game that was translated into English in '97. So
Which-
much like the last game we played, not Jasant, but the one beforehand, some of that dialogue, it's not gonna sound perfect. Like, what are you
I
here?
think
Like, oh,
I
that's
think
not how you say that.
maybe both of those games should have taken a page out of Jusant's book and shut the fuck up.
And just not had dialogue, just have written down stuff.
Preston, you didn't say this either, but like there's a lot that in that opening scene when you fight Dracula's Richter that comes out of that fight. Like if you beat it under a minute, you get some sort of buff. If you beat it without getting hit, you get a strength buff to start your playthrough out. If you don't use any items, you get an intelligence buff. Like there's all kinds of things that come out of that.
I didn't know
that
that.
again,
There's even a secret
That-
room in there. So like right when you start, if you
I was about to
like,
do it, and then I ended up going too far towards Dracula, and it started.
Yeah,
cussing.
right when you walk up, you turn around and smack a switch, and then some stairs come down. And you can run in and get some extra hearts and stuff. You can do a grand cross on his ass right in the beginning. You can go crazy
it's just
in that opening
and
fight with
it's
Richter.
crazy. It's crazy too because there's so much of that like the intelligence buffs and stuff like they don't even well, I mean, we'll talk about it. There's no explanation of where these things come into play. So I don't even know, even now, I played this game for
So
6 hours. I still don't even know why that would have even mattered to me.
It wouldn't.
so
It's just an extra thing.
it
But
does. I mean, the stats do help out. Obviously, they're not going to
yeah,
give you
but
like crazy stat buffs. They give you a little
that's
stat
what I'm
buff.
saying. By the time you
but
They do
grind
like a
out and
plus
do a bunch
one
of
to stuff.
yeah, once you do a bunch of levels, like it
yeah,
doesn't really it
but I
comes out in the
mean,
wash.
so like while playing this game, like I had the manual pulled up on my phone because there's a lot of things in there that we would get from the manual back then, like item names, what those items do. So rather than me
And
just firing them off, I could find out what they
That's
are.
not to say we are playing on our PlayStation 1s. Our copy
Yeah.
just doesn't have a manual.
Yeah,
So, yeah. We're just missing the
Yeah.
manual. That's it.
just the manual.
I mean, you know me, I'm not reading shit. So,
Yeah, this guy doesn't read. Luckily, there's voice acting in here for him a little bit. So when it comes to describing this game and like the story I'm about to say, I'll go to the story parts. But as far as where we go after some of this dialogue, it's up to us and which direction we want to go for the most part, and obviously what items we have to unlock those areas. So when I say exploring, just know that we could be anywhere in the fucking castle after a little bit of dialogue. So after some exploring, you run into Maria. A little bit of a small intro, and she says we have similar goals, and then just straight up leaves. Because we're apparently not very talkative. She asks us our name, a little dot dot dot. We say Alucard. She's like, okay, obviously you're not out for conversation, and she just fucking gets out of there.
can I say too, for 1997 and like a 16-bit game, Maria's got cakes.
Yeah, 17-year-old Maria.
Okay, Mr. Riku, don't want to hear it.
No, that's what's in the manual.
Where do they say she's 17?
Manual.
Means nothing.
Okay.
Her hand drawn photo makes her look like she's 33.
No, and her
okay?
voice actor
So-
definitely sounds in their 30s or 40s for sure.
Exactly.
I want nothing to do with this.
You explore the castle, fighting monsters and some bosses, while hitting dead ends until you find specific items or abilities, like mist, bat form, the key that opens up, all the blue doors, and then even one of the bosses that you fight is a doppelganger of you. This one I'll kind of stop here and kind of see how you did with it, because this one was one of the more difficult boss battles that I had. It took me 2 tries, but I figured out a strategy, and you guys can tell me your strategy. I've seen other strategies online. I found out that if I just crouch, he's not going to hit me. I wait for him to jump. When he jumps, I can get a couple hits in, and then just crouch again. Because he will always throw his knives towards you, above you, and he doesn't really come at you with any like swiping attacks while you're crouched, because he usually tries to do the same thing. Like that, the AI for this boss is different than others. A lot of them have patterns of what they do. This doppelganger tries to counter what you're doing. So this one's just a little more difficult, so I kind of wanted to see how you guys dealt with them.
So Alex, you go, because how I dealt with every single boss in this playthrough.
destroy it.
Yeah, so I'll just explain how I did so.
So I tried in the early game. I tried to brute force a lot of the bosses.
Yeah,
like
same.
it's just going to be a battle of attrition. I died a lot for that. So then I have now found holy water, and every fight is spamming the shit out of holy water. Just
So that's your favorite sub-weapon. Okay.
and that's what
Fair.
I
I think we
that's
all
what
have
I-
different favorite sub-weapons, which is nice.
Yeah, so this game, like as we mentioned before, one of the things that I knew going into it was that there were not certain, all of the spells are basically fighting game combos.
And you don't have to
And
purchase them at the store or where you can find later on. You can just, as long as you know the combos,
Some of them-
you can just pull it out.
Yeah, some of them you do. I think some of them you still have to purchase to be able to like unlock
fucking
the
hate you
use
guys.
of. But there are some that you can just do, and 2 of them I knew just due to GDQ runs and other things that I just was like. And again, this is gonna piss Alex off because when I say what these combos are, he's gonna be like, "Of course, your stupid brain would know this." So the first one
I
that I
figured out
remembered,
one. I figured out one of these, and it's the thrust jump, which is down up jump. So I fucking hate you guys.
Yeah, so it's
that's
not
the
that one.
only
So-
thing. That's the only thing I have figured out to this.
yeah, yeah, or I think the community calls that one the shack dunk, which is very funny. But Yeah, so the one that I know, or the two that I know, one of them is like summon a spirit, and it basically will go around and fly around and like hit the enemy twice, and it will like track it and like go to hit it, and that's left, right, up, down, and then attack, and then it'll just do it. The other one is summon hellfire, and that one is up, down, diagonal, and then the direction that you're facing, and that's the same for the diagonal. So it'll be the left diagonal, then left, or right diagonal, then right, and then attack. And what that does is Alucard goes into an invincible animation and opens up his cape, and 3 fireballs shoot out, and if all 3 of those hit, they do 25 damage apiece. If you hold up during the animation, he charges it up, still invulnerable, and shoots out 2 of these like crazy ass like black electricity fire orbs, and each one of those does 35.
And to be fair, the higher your intelligence is, the more the damage they'll do.
Oh, sure. Okay, so then okay, so that's just where mine's at then. So, yeah, I just do that for every boss, and they just get smoked, and then I walk through, and that's it. The other thing is that my favorite power, without a doubt, is time stop. So I walk in, press the time stop button, smack, 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 and then as soon as the time stop's about to end, I just start doing my invincible animation and smoke them. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's how I dealt with all of those bosses. The mirror, I didn't even actually have to do the spell with the mirror because time stop was enough to kill him. I just used time stop, smacked him, he died, and I walked right through. That was it.
There you go. So this is one I found later on as far as sub-weapons. Most of the game I just used the swords that I had, maybe whatever, because a lot of times those sub-weapons that pop up before like a boss battle are usually a pretty good sub-weapons to use for that boss. But when I got the Agune, I think that's what it's called. I think that's how you pronounce it. Agune? It's essentially the lightning sub-weapon.
Yeah.
That one, I melted bosses before they could do things. Like there's a lesser demon boss. I just did it and he died. Apparently he summons other demons. Apparently he does a whole bunch of stuff. I just let it go and just let it rip. Because you hold on the button, it'll just eat up all your hearts until your hearts are gone. Or until the enemy's dead.
And if you got fucking 95 hearts, then...
And I am just rolling through some of these bosses to where it's like, oh, you're here? I'll just let it go. You might hit me with something which may push me back, but I'm just going to go right back and doing it. And that, towards the end, that's pretty much how I'm dealing with most bosses, is just unleashing that in any way I can.
Oh, man.
And then if you want to talk about weapons, I'm not sure what you guys ended up using, but I'm pretty much rolling with combat knife the entire time. Like, that's doing good damage, and it's just super freaking fast. Like, it's faster than the other one, so I can just go like knife, 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 knife. And it's like 36, 36, 36, 36, and then criticals happen in between.
I found one of the secret weapons, I guess, or I don't know if it's
I found a bunch of weapons. But broadsword I used for most of the game, but yeah.
The star flail is the one I'm using.
Star flail, okay.
I found...
Also, I really like the
broadsword.
chakram. The chakram is really cool, too.
Chakram, okay. The broadsword was good for a long time.
I had a broadsword. I found... It's like a... They call it like a wand or something. Like
a rod.
Oh, the star rod.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's one of the
Or
rods.
the shield rod.
Sorry.
Shield rod.
There's a handful
Shield
of
rod.
rods, yeah.
Shield rod. I was using the shield rod. That was pretty good.
Did you figure
I
out the
think it
power
was
behind
most-
that one?
Yeah. Did you know?
What is it?
Different for each shield.
Did you figure out the power on that one?
No.
Different for each shield.
Yeah, so your up attack,
Equipped.
right, like the special attack for it, depending on which shield you have, will give you a different buff.
Yep.
So it's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, very cool. And I didn't even get a familiar till like later on in the game, so like I
Cool.
didn't use them too much. I just got a fairy healing me right now. But continuing on. So after the doppelganger, you meet a librarian who is the shopkeeper. At first, he doesn't want to go against the master. We, young master, say we will reward him, so he opens up shop for us within no time. Maid items are here.
In the same sentence.
Yeah, in the same sentence. He's like, oh, well, okay, if you're going to reward me, then I'll fucking do it. So yeah, for here, you'll have kind of your basic, potions, anti-venom, stuff like that. But you'll get some major items in there that you definitely need to get. Obviously, the Jewel of Open, which will open up all the blue doors that you've been seeing. Castle Map, which is 100% a need. Not really a need, but like you want that map.
I have not bought the castle map.
Oh no, you just
What?
scraped.
Oh my god.
Madman.
Yeah, Jesus, dude.
Also here, you can get all the info on the monsters. So when you meet a monster, you get some of the data from it. This is where you can kind of go in to find some more information. Even like something like Dracula, you can pull up some of his information as well. Sometimes you get some weaknesses and things that would help you if you're having issues with those enemies. You would go to the librarian to kind of look up to find out maybe if you get some hints to better deal with some monsters. We continue exploring, destroying monsters and bosses. From here, we can find Maria again after the Griffin fight. She asks if you know Richter. We say we only know the name from the Belmont clan. And then we kind of let her know we'll keep an eye out for her because obviously he went missing after the castle arrived, so she's out there looking. We'll still keep an eye out. After a lot more exploring and fighting, you will run into a coliseum where you will find Richter. You know he is a Belmont by the scent of his blood. He unleashes 2 bosses at you. He also says he's the lord of this castle. I'll go back to those bosses in a little bit because I had a real fun time with that boss. At another point, you will find a purple save point. This takes you to a nightmare before a boss fight. In this nightmare, you have a flashback of your mother tied up to be burnt. She asks of one thing before she dies. Mother, no, mother. She asks for you to despise humans and that they are your prey.
That was the weirdest line. She was like, "The only thing I want from you is to despise humans forever." I was like,
I know, and the best part is that Alucard goes,
right.
"Okay, hold on.
That's not how this went. That's not how this went.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, okay, well, then you're just, you know you're in a flashback maybe, but you don't. You're kind
It
of
was
going along with it.
so weird.
It's, yeah, the fact that he
the
went
best
along
part
with it at first and then gets like kicked out of it because she said something wrong. It kind of just,
Yeah, and then he's like, but then, so you beat the succubus, but the best part is right at the end, she's like, oh, damn, this is crazy, blah, 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 blah. And he goes, yeah, anyway, I killed you, and since you died in a nightmare, that means your soul will wander forever. Later, idiot.
Yeah.
And she's like, wait, no! Like, it's so, and you're like, okay, okay.
And I like how like a
it's-
little bit of info she gives you. Like, okay, if you didn't play the previous games, she mentions that you're the son of Dracula. She's like, oh, I
Yeah.
know who you are. You're like very strong and so handsome. Oh yes, you're Dracula's son.
It does crack
I
me
was
up.
tempted I was just tempted to stay in the nightmare with the succubus.
I
I
know
bet you
So,
were.
I know.
checking all the boxes.
Hey man, me and Plant
I-
Lady, we're gonna have a date later on. Trust me.
I still think it's crazy because it's hilarious that somebody would look at Alucard and then like just that it's Dracula spelled backwards and be like, like they
Yeah,
just like
like you
it like
didn't
hits
know?
them like
Yeah.
a truck. Yeah.
All right, so
You didn't know, did you, Alex?
Oh,
Really?
no. All this time?
Oh my God! In the year of our Lord
Have you never-
2025, it is still work.
Have
I
you
take
never
it
watched
back.
the anime Hellsing?
Jesus
I've
Christ!
seen the anime Hellsing. I have, but I was young, so I was introduced to the anime Hellsing from a friend's older sister. So I was friends with him in middle school and a little bit of high school. He unfortunately passed in a car wreck in 2010. Or I'm sorry, 2003. I take it back. So I was introduced to Hellsing like that long ago. Like I was young,
Yeah.
so that's
Yeah, but
It's-
more
it's fair for
importantly,
me.
you saw the Castlevania anime
also saw
just
that.
this like last year or 2 years ago.
I mean, I've seen Alucard in print 17 times playing this
Yeah.
game. So
That's so funny.
That's very funny.
The look at you right when I said it, and then you were like, and like I could see you do the fucking the letters in your and like put it up in front of you, and then slowly spin them, and be like, son of a bitch, he's right. Like,
All right, so like they said,
man,
like they
That's
said,
so
she realizes
funny.
you're a vampire. She knows you're Dracula's son. You leave her in the dream for eternity. At this point, you're kind of just doing cleanup, going around the map. Obviously, if you're avoiding the bad ending like we are to get the good ending, we need to get the gold and the silver ring. Now, I don't think anything in this game actually tells you that. It's more of like a just you want a map scrape. The name of this game is map
you
scrape.
told me that.
Yeah, the name of this game is map scrape. Jake told me that He's like, just scrape the map. I'm like, okay, well, with Metroidvanias, you want to scrape the map, right? You want to make sure you're getting all your HP ups, and make sure you're getting your missile tanks, things like that. You want to make sure you're getting all your stuff so that way when you go and fight whatever boss it is, you're well prepared.
So did either of you go do the bad ending, like just to see?
No.
Okay, so
I
can I
don't.
explain
I
it
still
to you
don't
guys?
know. I still don't
Because
even
I
know
accidentally did it.
how to
Did you?
get the bad ending.
So the bad ending is you go and fight Richter without the glasses.
Is that there's one part of the castle where there's
The
like
holy
a
It's
glasses.
the north center
like a
section.
table. Yeah, the North Center. There's like a dining room table or something, and I think there's like a statue like pointing to the room or something. Is that where it is?
No. So okay, so like there's like it's up in the top areas of the map.
The
It's,
bridges
like,
are
the very
falling
top.
as you go across the
And
big
the
giant
bridges are falling, all that other
skull.
stuff. Yeah, and then
I've
there's
been in there.
the
Yeah, I've been in
the
there.
set of then when you go out, there is a set of red stairs that have like a chunk missing, and that's like that should remind you of what the intro looked like where Richter was, except there wasn't a chunk missing. When you get the ability to double jump and do and you can cross that gap now, or you can use the bat form and cross it, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm talking about. I think there's like a dining room table or something there, a statue pointing to a
Yeah,
room.
and
I
then if
didn't
you,
go in that far room.
okay, so that room is where Richter is at. You need to go there with the holy glasses to be able to get
Yes.
to this next part of the game where what Preston was talking about, or that's where we're supposed to go.
So,
If you go there before the holy glasses, though, so I'll explain it. You fight him, and then this is the hilarious part of this ending, and this is why I think that there is plenty of people who would have came away from this if they had finished that and been like what the fuck?
Yeah.
So if you go and fight Richter without the holy glasses on and just kill him, Richter dies, and then the whole castle explodes. Alucard leaves, and he's like, "Damn, well, see you in another 100 years, idiot." And then he leaves.
I mean, it kind of sounds like exactly what we wanted. Sounds
So-
like a
well,
successful
maybe
trip
you,
to me.
but okay.
Sounds
So,
like a successful video game adventure to me. I don't know.
Christian,
Yeah,
did you know that there's a second bad ending?
I did not know that.
You can get the glasses and not equip them. And then Maria
Oh.
shows up to talk to you about all
She's
this.
probably heated.
Well, she's like, oh, like, you didn't save him. He's like, no, I couldn't save him. And then you kind of talks a little bit. There's like subtle clues that kind of like lets you know that, hey, this is not the proper ending. Oh, hey, this is not the proper ending. To like, okay, what do I gotta do with this? Well, she gave you the glasses.
Yeah.
She ends up showing up in that second bad ending, if you have the glasses and you don't put them on. So to kind of like nudge you a little bit, like, hey, you got those glasses from her. She shows up and she talks to you about it. Maybe next time you wear the glasses.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought that was very cool to where like you can get multiple bad endings as far as depending on what you do and what you find. So going from there, where was I in my notes?
Finding the rings.
Yep, I'm just trying to find that in my notes. All right, so I put down that I found the gold naturally, but I wanted to look up where the silver was because I was reaching about 6 hours at this point, and it was late at night last night. And like, hey, are you gonna make it, Preston? Like, can we do this? Because like I can't play it while I work, and I know Alex had a little bit of extra time today, so I ended up getting to a point to where I was like, okay, let me find out how far away this is if we need to push this to Thursday or not. And then I found out where it was. I'm like, oh, I literally just have to get the spike armor, which is where I'm on my way to because I just got the whole bat echo thing.
I got the spike armor 1 minute after you texted me and said you need
Yeah.
the spike armor, and then you get a ring. And it took me a little bit to make it back to where she was, like, because I had to explore to find her. But literally, as soon as I got the spike armor, I was like, "Oh, okay, it must not be that far. Like, I can do it tomorrow."
By the way, I hate the Bat Echo room.
I mean, luckily, that was the only section that you even needed to use that in.
Well.
But it's not great, but I had no problem with it. I went through just fine. You press the button, you go around a little bit. When it gets darker, you press again.
So I got
It's not
clipped.
long.
I got clipped, and when you get clipped, you immediately
kicks
switch
you,
back
kicks
to
you,
human
kicks you,
form.
kicks you, yeah.
You get stuck, and then you get stuck there, and you have to die. You can't get back into bat form. You can't do anything.
Nope.
You're fucked. That annoyed me. The other
Stuns
room
lock
that
you, yeah.
there's the only other room in this entire fucking playthrough that there's two that pissed me off every single time I had to go back to it. There's the like gear room with the harpies and the Medusa
clock
I
heads.
tower.
haven't gotten there yet because that's going to be where the closer to Richter's place, right?
No, you can go there before.
I went to the
tower.
clock
Okay.
tower.
Yeah, it's like the harpies. Like there's like a gears, all gears in the room,
It's on the far
and
right side all the way up.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
but there's harpies there, and then there's also the Medusa heads that can fucking turn you to
The
stone.
outer wall ones. Yeah.
The amount of times if you just get hit once while you're trying to jump, and it will turn you to stone, and then the harpies will hit you, it'll blast you to the side of the wall, and then you fall all the way straight back down. Is like I'm going to
It's like the
scream.
bell tower you hit by the
Or
crow.
or you get turned to stone and you shake and you come out of it, and right as you come
Medusa's
out of
right
it, the
there.
second one is coming by and taps you on the foot again. You're just like, bah!
Yeah, there's a
Yeah,
plant that
that
shoots those
one's
kind of things at you. And that happened to me all the time. Like, I got out of the stone, and then the little plant thing is like coming at me as I got out of the stone. I'm like, okay, well, let me
yeah,
see back here.
that sucks. And then also the room that we were describing, Preston, for Alex to get to the Richter fight, the that's like the floating skull room, like where the bridges drop out and stuff. The most infuriating part of that is that if you miss a jump or an enemy knocks you or whatever, you have to go and walk all the way fucking back again, and then go to a room transition, which means what? All of
Everything
the
spawns
enemies
again.
come back.
Yep.
Every single fucking
Yeah, man.
time.
There was so many times where I just had the dog, spear the dog, whatever, and I'm like, okay, well, with the dog, I can jump a little bit farther. So like, I'm gonna try to get past these areas. You know how many times I had to like fell down, deal with the guys down there, come back up, it respawns the small skulls. I gotta kill them before I jump because they're just gonna stop me from jumping across. I did that so many times. After a certain point, I'm like, you know what? I'll come back to this place later. And to be fair, I came back to it at one point, but like I haven't gone further beyond that because beyond that's more of Richter's area.
Yeah.
But I haven't gotten too much further beyond that. But yeah,
The other
that
piece
really
of
sucks.
that room that sent me over the edge that I don't know if you guys found out. Do you guys know how to do the dive kick?
No.
No.
Okay. So you guys can just look it up. It's not a big deal. But so you might have noticed in that room, Preston, depending on how high you jumped or whatever, that there was just candles floating in the air. And you're probably like, the fuck am I supposed to do with those? Well, the game doesn't, it just wants you to experiment with this. But if you dive kick a candle, it will create, like, it acts like a bounce pad, basically, and refreshes both your jumps so that you can double jump again, dive kick, double jump again, dive, and make your way across an area like that.
Okay.
Yeah, that sucks.
You tried that a little too many times.
Well, so I did it to be able to get the 3 items that are on the pillars up there, so that you can, have them. And
Bat form.
it's, well, I didn't have
I
bat
was saying
form
that's
yet
what
when I was doing
I
this.
say. That's what I would do. I scraped the map with bat form. Just
Yeah,
go
yeah,
in there and just fly while
I
on
was
top
I
of
was
everything.
doing this before I had bat because I was just like, no, I'll find a way. Like I'm gonna scrape this room while I can scrape it. And
It lets you. Yeah.
if I really really can't get it, then I'll move on. So I didn't have bat form when I did this, but yeah, it sucks. It's not fun, and I'm sure doing it later when the change happens that I'm not gonna have fun doing it there either if I have to. But it like trying to aim it and then do this, but then if you fucking miss and it sends you all the way to the bottom of the map, and then you've got to fucking, or not bottom of the map, but bottom of that zone, and then restart and walk back up and do the whole thing. Yeah, man, it is something.
Oh yeah.
It's something.
For sure. All right. So let's say you get those 2 rings. What you'll need to do is. Now, this, I thought there was just like, okay, you just had to look up a guide to find out. Like, no, in the rings description themselves, they have like 2 words each. So in the rings, you'll have one that says in tower and one that says where clock. There's little dots in there so you kind of can parse out where they go. So it's where in clock tower. When you read those descriptions, you take both those rings, you wear them, and you go to that one bigger clock area where you've met Maria before. And when you're wearing those 2 rings, the bottom will open up for you. Once they open up the floor, you go down there. There's like a save point. And there's like a little max up on the other side. You go down to this what looks like a giant version, almost of the shape that the save points are. And you'll go down there, find her inside there. She says, "Nope, you're right. That was Richter Belmont. Someone must be controlling him." So she gives you the holy glasses to see behind evil's illusions. And Alucard is like, yeah, you probably should just pray for your friend then. Because he's like, I'm going to fuck him up, essentially is what he's saying. And that ends the part 1. Now, obviously, we've skipped a bunch of this game because We're not all playing the same levels at the same time, things of that nature. So I wrote down a couple bosses here. Actually, I wrote down all the bosses' names. There was two of them that I thought was really funny. One was that lesser demon I talked to you about. He showed up. You kind of get the name like, okay, I do my lightning spell. He dies. I'm like, I don't even know what this boss does. And I looked it up later on, like, yeah, he summons ectoplasm enemies and all sorts of shit to come fight you, but I never had to deal with them.
I holy water the shit out of him. He was done.
Yeah, just dying. Yeah. The second one that I kind of went crazy on was when you go into the Coliseum with Richter, he drops down two guys to fight. So Slagra and Gaibon. So a spear dude. No, I'm sorry, that's not the right ones. It is the Minotaurus and the Wolf. One's real fast, one's real big. But what happens is they spawn them like in two lights, like Star Trek style, like they're essentially getting beamed down. Mm-hmm. You can just run up to one of them. So I ran up to the Wolf, and I just started because I got the combat knife. And I don't know if you guys use a combat knife at all, but it's one of the more powerful weapons of the game, and it's the fastest weapon. So like I'm just sitting there, I killed him before he was able to do anything. So then I just got to deal with the Minotaur guy. Probably should have done it to the Minotaur guy, who knows, but
I did the same to the Minotaur, except I holy watered the shit out of him and moved on.
Yeah. So it's fun. It's fun and funny how like you can just kind of cheese some of these bosses, because some of these bosses are just pretty straight up simple and basic. And as long as you got some good intelligence on you and a good like sub weapon or some good magic, you can pretty much take these guys down before they get to certain attacks.
Yeah,
Did you ever? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Christian.
I just send hellfire towards everybody's way.
Yeah.
That's it.
Did you ever run into a room and think it was a boss and find out it's just a normal enemy? Specifically, the big spinny wheel of weapons of death.
Yeah,
and I'm like, oh, this is a boss. And then you kill it, and you're like, oh no, it's just a respawning enemy.
Yeah, I saw two of them, and I hate those. They're really, really bad. Now, the time stop helps a lot with that guy, and also if you have like axes and stuff like that, you can kind of toss it and you get hits on the main sword in the middle of it, which is nice. Or you do what I do, you take out a couple of the weapons and you throw your little lightning thing, and then as soon as you get one hit, you just hold down that attack button and it just automatically chain attacks him until you get hit. So, or you just run. You just do what I did most of the time and just say, fuck this, I'm not fighting this boss.
Yeah, once you get the dog, so I don't know if you guys found it, but there's the augment to the dog power that basically gives you the shine spark from fucking Metroid, where you just like super dash across the room.
How do you use it? I haven't figured out how to use it.
You have to press forward twice, and then he goes one faster, and then once he reaches a certain speed, he will become invincible.
Like Mach speed, yeah.
You can hit things.
And so you just dash through them, like you just dash through dash through enemies, and you don't have to fight them or do anything. You just get to leave, and that makes traveling flat, straight areas a lot easier.
But yeah, no, I mean, we can go into some of the bosses if you guys want to talk about a few of them. I think there's one that I missed that I did not get to. This was the Karasuman. It's like a bird person, big black wings. I saw a photo of it earlier. I don't think
I smoked that.
Oh yeah,
one.
Is that the one that like drops the eggs on the ground and the birds come out of it and then they kind of swoop like and run across and swoop?
I didn't fight it.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But everyone else I kind of went through and took care of. But yeah, no, overall, I would say, I mean, we can go, if there's like certain areas that you guys liked, we can go through, we were talking about what Alex calls shitty enemies. The Fleamen, or whatever they're called.
Are the worst.
No, the armored Fleamen are the worst.
Yeah, the armored Fleamen.
Because as soon as you hit the armored Fleamen once, the armor breaks instantly, and then they turn into Fleamen. The Fleamen are terrible.
But the Fleamen, you can just walk up to, and they always jump at least once, and you can just get them on the down on that jump.
They don't always jump at least once.
No,
I
but
anticipated
the
that and started standing back.
Take 2 hits.
I started crouching and waiting for that turd to jump and hit, and they started doing this thing where they half jump and run backwards, and half jump and run backwards, and they'll just run forward. Dude,
if you're standing, you can get them on a half jump.
Almost. There's a couple of enemies in this game.
Yeah.
So here's why here's why I think Preston is right about the armored Fleamen, and it's just for the simple fact that Fleamen die in 1 hit, armored Fleamen die in 2 hits.
Sure.
Armored Fleamen keep Fleamen around longer, which is why they're worse.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those enemies, and then not the harpies. They were the flying enemies. When you get up on like the roof, there's like flying enemies, but they're not harpies. Are they like
They're flying soldiers. They're flying skeletons.
yeah, the flying
Yeah.
soldiers. So it's not that I have an issue with any particular enemy. Like yes, there are some easier than others, like the weird like scorpion alligators with women on their tails,
I
or
destroy them
women with
immediately.
alligator dicks. I'm not sure which they are, but either way,
Tails, yeah.
they're super easy to kill. Like there's less bad enemies, but like I don't even know that it's the enemy. It's more the game. And why I say that is because there's plenty of opportunity where like an enemy will come running up and I'll swing and like bonk them and they die, right? There's also plenty of opportunity where they run up and I go to bonk them and the game goes, nah, you missed, bitch. And it hits me anyway. And specifically, they punish you so much in insulting and infuriating ways when you fuck up. So like I was on the roof and I was jumping across the pillars, and one of those stupid flying soldiers hit me, and I fell between two pillars. Right? Okay.
Hmm.
So I'm gonna start swinging. I'm gonna bonk that guy that hit me because he can go however he wants. Well, there were two of them there, and they start spinning in a perfect pattern and direction where I never hit them. And they bonk me again and bounce me off the wall, and they start spinning to where I'm just bouncing and bonking off the wall, watching my health go down as I can do nothing. And when you die, it's so infuriating because you go to the start screen and you have to load, and it takes so long. And like, there would be so many enemies that I would just like miss, or like their pattern would be weird, and you would get bonked and then start bouncing in a weird way where the game's just like, oh, well, just watch yourself get fucked. I would rather be playing Dark Souls. Dark Souls is an easier game than this
No,
shit.
it's
Oh
not.
yeah,
No.
because there is just such horse shit in the angles that this game pulls sometimes, where the game's just like, it's almost like playing a version of the commercial where the old man has the dollar on the thing, goes, almost, not close enough, not close enough.
So I will slightly agree with you
I was
because I ran into
infuriated
the same
past
things.
having playing this.
I ran into the same thing, which is why I say the armored fleemen, because there is a hallway. You have a bunch of armored fleemen. You
Hmm.
also have the skeletons with the heads in their hands. That's what
Hmm.
happened to me. It's like I'm trying to get there. I'm like, okay, well, at first I'm like, well, maybe I can jump over this one. So I jump over like one or two of them, and I get past them, and then all of a sudden the fleamen are like just going everywhere, and I get hit, and that's when I can't touch the ground. So it's just hit, hit, hit. There's
You know
no
what you
like
guys could
get
do?
back up.
Dude, there was a room.
Just
No,
I mean, I
I'm
just
gonna
didn't
tell you,
do that.
Christian.
After that, I just didn't do it.
There's
Then
a
fine.
room.
just
What
left,
you're
right,
gonna
up,
say
down,
about time
attack.
stop? Oh, okay. There's a room in I forget where it was, because these games have to do this, so it's nothing against this game, but like some of the environments don't really match where we're in a castle. It's like someplace you would be that you're like, this is a weird decor for a castle, but it was
Well,
kind of
it's
like a
Dracula. It's
spindly.
always a changing thing. It's like
Dracula's,
its
yeah.
own entity.
Yeah. So, but like, there's the one place that kind of felt like an old farm, had like spiral staircases, kind of like medievally, right? But like red brick. There's a room in there that is multiple. It's fleamen, men on horses, and archers,
Oh
right? And like
God.
multiple
Yeah,
times
yeah,
you would
yeah,
walk
yeah.
in and get hit by an archer before you even knew what was happening, and would bump you out of the frame, and you would go into
Yeah,
the
that
next
happens.
room,
I hate that.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, fine, fuck this. I'm gonna go in and drop a time stop. And I run in there, boom, time stop. And I start running. Everybody time stops except the big ass soldiers, who are like, oh yeah, I can't be time stopped for whatever fucking reason. So let me hit you with this big ass sword. And you're like, okay, well, I'll dodge your big ass sword. And the game goes, yeah, but now your time stops up and everyone's firing at one time. Like, for real. Put me in the Elden Ring place where you just have the fiery, like, angry wheels of death rolling up and down ramps. I could roll between those areas better than this janky ass stuff from '97. All I'm saying. With that being said, because I don't want Jake to come at me too hard, the soundtrack is an absolute banger.
No,
Like,
soundtrack is
every
absolutely
single
wonderful.
area of this castle is great. And look, I was incredibly playing through this game. I'm so incredibly angry. because I feel like there are many times where things shouldn't happen that lead to me having to reload because like that's what happens when you die. That I hate it. It's actually not all bad. Like the music is great. The artwork looks really good, and I think it actually holds up, right? Like if you like that
Oh,
retro-ish style
100%.
look, I think it holds up.
Some of the best sprite work
Um,
ever.
Yeah.
yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. Um, Running into the character, like there's enough that keeps me going because I keep plugging through. And there was a good stretch for like an hour and a half where my weapon was just clicking and like I'm running and I really didn't die. And I don't die to the bosses. Like that's the other frustrating part. I think I died one time to the two Richter bosses, and I died one time to the mirror self. But like I didn't die to the big thing in the bottom area, like the brainy thing or whatever. Like I'm not dying to a lot of bosses, so it keeps me going. But it's the little shit for no reason, like the Medusa heads that like you jump over, or like I'm in the perfect area swinging at them, and this one's like, "Oh no, just kidding, going down this time, and bitch, you froze." Like it's so infuriating, and running up the long stairs with like the fire that blasts straight down, but then you would take out the bottom one and the skull rolls
Or
down
you
and
just throw
just
holy
Yeah.
water at it and it takes down both of them.
Or
bro.
you just do left, right, up, down attack, and then it sends a little ghost after him.
Christian, I don't know that exists. I
You know holy
I
water
have
exists and it's your
found
favorite weapon.
cards. I have found cards for the creatures, like right, like
Yeah.
for the thing, and the dog, like the wolf, and I can turn into them. I know how to turn into them. I did not know until you guys said that how to do that super run. Like, I didn't know that existed. I died once in the fucking bat in the cave because I didn't know how to do the echo thing.
Well, one of the best things about this game was the water cooler moments. You would go to school, you would talk to your friends about like, "Yo, I got the bat thing," and like, there's that one dark section. I could just press the triangle button, and it fucking lit up the area, and I knew how to get through there.
Preston,
Do you know you can
I'm in
just map all the
Chicago at work.
spells?
I'll fucking kill you.
It's less than a 2 hour drive. I will murder you.
I there's been so much trial and error that has led me to go, oh, I didn't care about the
I
Steam Deck.
there's a couple of times like it would happen like once, like what you talking about, like the staircase with like the falling heads, stuff like that. That happened to me once. Never happened to me again. I learned from my mistakes and I took care of it and I didn't get frustrated with it. So I I didn't have those problems that often.
Because he learned from his mistakes, Alex. What do you think about that?
There, yeah. As a whole, I am enjoying this game.
It's a great game.
There's a lot of stuff that's shit about it, which is specifically, and it's really not. It's not. It's the age. It's like I guess it's partly me. Like I could go with a lesser damage weapon and be faster, but like I feel like there's plenty of times where inputs are just delayed, and I absolutely hate Alucard's when you're trying to change direction, like slide direction change, right? Like it's not an instant direction change. He kind of like hops to
That's
one side and
that's not a direction change. It's just a backdash.
no, no. There's the backdash with triangle where you like dash backwards, right?
Yeah.
But like if you're running one way and you change directions, it takes him a frame. It's not like
Oh,
an instant quick
sure.
He
turn,
turns
right?
around, yes.
So there's a lot of stuff like that that have led me to get hit, and that stuff adds on. Um, that I just feel like it's slow, or it's in a game like this I want to be a little faster. It's fine. I'm getting used to it. I do like the game so far, and I'm interested to see. But man, it has been absolutely anger inducing. And the frustrating part. This is what I was gonna say too. The frustrating part to me is like I'm trying not to look shit up, but I think I'm gonna have to because there's plenty of stuff
Oh,
not with the navigating, but there's plenty of stuff with just like what you guys are talking about, like the spells. Like I know I've had this bar the whole time. Beyond bat form, I can't figure out how to get it to do anything. Like I don't
Yeah.
know any of these spells or how to do them, right? And you'd think it would just be like a button command. It's not. So there's things like that have frustrated me that I feel like you should teach the player through game design that they
So
just fucking don't
Well, if you
you get
buy,
at
the
so
all.
you buy the spells. You can
that
buy the
teaches you the
spells at the
combos.
library, and then it will teach you the combo in the menu.
And
Like
then later on, you
if
find
you,
out if you just do it without the scroll, then you can like,
yeah,
oh
if you
shoot, I don't
do
need to
without the
buy
spells,
these.
then they'll just show up. But if you do them, like when you go to the library and go to the librarian and buy the spells, when you
Hmm.
press the start button and you have like the spells button in the menu, they'll show up there.
I'll show you the combo, like the
Yeah.
directions and stuff.
I don't think I bought any spell like any of those. I've just I bought some
Yeah.
armor stuff. I bought the like you said the key like to get through the blue door or whatever, the ring, whatever that was. I bought some weapons, but yeah, I haven't bought spells. But I know you could do spells, right?
Yeah,
And I found out the jump, but it's just like God, some of this shit is absolutely anger inducing. But Jake, don't shit on me too. But like I said, as a whole, it does hold up, and I am enjoying
oh
it.
yeah, and like just the artwork and the music are just like 10 out of 10. It's like there's sometimes where I'll be
Yeah.
going into a section, you get the nice like light piano music, and then all of a sudden I'm getting like actual like metal guitar like going through as I'm going
Or
through
like
like one of the
jazz
battle times.
rooms, like there's like that
Jazz
room
rooms
that's
and
like
stuff like
all
that. Yeah,
jazzy.
The monsters are goofy. Like you have wolves and like the little like murloc creatures in the very beginning, and you have bats and zombies, and like okay, I get it. But then you're like, oh, here's a Cthulhu. Oh, here's a flying book. Oh, here's a woman as a tail
it's
on
not
a plant
Cthulhu, it's
alligator.
Cthulhu. They changed the name a little
Okay,
bit.
yeah, sure. So anyway, but like the some of the monsters get real goofy for like
Yeah,
no
There's
particular
a lot of
reason.
monsters, and they get really interesting with the designs of some of them. Yeah.
yeah, I think so. Yeah, the soundtrack is an absolute 10 out of 10. Like
Yeah.
it's so good. Like every single time that you go into a new thing, you hear like the new ballet. Like even sometimes like you'll hear like the like a like a pinch squealer that's just like wee, like it'll just go and start like
Mm-hmm.
digging in and then go into some written. You're just like Jesus, dude, this is sick. I think all of the sprite work and all of the art in the game is also perfect. I have absolutely zero
When you
issues
go
with
in
it
the bell
whatsoever.
tower and you see like the sky that's kind of like animated
Yeah,
through
dude, and it's
there.
rolling. Yeah,
So
man, it looks
this is
great.
with like PlayStation. They got like 3D art, and what happened was is like the art director was in there getting all the sprites and everything going, and then they had two cutscenes that were for 3D animation, which was the beginning one where you see the castle as you go
Yeah.
up there, and then there's one for the end. But they hated it because it looked flat, it looked boring, they didn't like it at all, so that's why they didn't put any more in there. And it's kind of
Yeah.
went harder on, the in-game scenes.
Yeah, it looks great. Like I love all of that stuff. I think it's awesome. So this is the only kind of thing, and I'll be interested to see how I end up on it. But so you guys know that I guess one of my quote unquote like hotter takes is that I don't particularly care for Mario games. Like, and
They're
back
not
in
your
the
thing.
day when you were listening, like if you were to play like a platformer back in the day on Nintendo, you either liked Mario games or you liked Mega Man games. Like
Or Sonic.
sometimes people
If
would
you're
like
crazy.
both, but like yeah, but like Sonic was barely a platformer. Like you're just trying to fly through and just like go crazy. But like from a platforming feel, like a jump physics, like there was two schools of thought. It was Mario and then Mega Man. I was firmly on the Mega Man side. Like I don't care for the floatiness of Mario. It just doesn't drive well with me. And that's whatever. Like that's not saying that Mario is bad. I just don't like how it feels. For Metroidvanias, so far when I've been playing this game, it has made me feel like I am. This is a similar thing where I am more of a fan of the Metroid of Metroidvania than the Vania of Metroidvania. So like, there's a lot of things that I love about this game so far, but like, some of the platforming I don't find to be very enjoyable. Like, even the like after you get all the forms and the grav boots and all this other shit, like every single time, like even the Shine Spark equivalent with the dog form, when you do it, I'm like, this feels better in Super Metroid. like I'm just
Sure.
like
Yeah,
that.
I feel Castlevania is less platforming for like gameplay and more of like platforming to get to the next area. Not as like this is going to test your skill of platforming. It's going to be like, no, this is how you get to this area. You got the double jump now, so now you can get to these areas. But you're not going to be using double jump in the entire area to like oh, I gotta get through this. And if you mess up one double jump, you're gonna go all the way down. It's like, no, like platforming just seems to be a way of getting places rather
Well,
than more of a challenge in this
But
game.
but
there's something.
that does happen. There is times where you miss a jump and then you have to
Yeah.
start all the way
Sure,
over.
yeah, like on the bell tower where the crow hits you, you might fall all the way down,
And
stuff like that, sure.
but
But
but there's the other thing that this game does too.
well,
Unlike like maybe because Metroid has the gun, right? Like you're shooting it out of your
Range,
wrist or whatever.
mostly.
There's a speed, in my opinion, that Metroid has that this game lacks, which is I feel like I'm running and I'm making movement, and every time I need to attack, it stops everything. Like I'm running, stop, hit. So then I have to like start running again and stop,
yeah,
hit. Like there seems to
kind
be
of.
this pause and movement in everything I
My
do as well, which slows me
my
down.
thing is that some of it just doesn't like. There's times where like through some of the, it's mostly like even the exploration piece, right? Like there are some things in this like it's not always immediately apparent in this game what you're missing or why or what is going to happen. Like what am I doing here? Whereas like Metroid exploration is very like this door is blocked because I need the ice beam. So I'm going to go get the ice beam and then I can go through the ice doors. And then now I need the missile doors. And this is the super bomb room. So I have to go and get the super bombs so that I can get through this room. Like whereas like this like and all Castlevania games are like this to be fair, but which is why I'm saying it like this is that like there's like the whole like level grind aspect and then like also like all of the different extra items that you can get like as random one-off consumables like the pentagrams and the shurikens and like all the other shit that you can get that are just like random like hey use it and then you're done and whatever, right? Like also how you like even down to how you interact with some of the heals, like I have to equip the turkey to throw it down on the ground to then run over it and get it, or like equipped it and like use the potion. Like some of it just feels like a lot more clunky than Metroid does. Like
And I think
Metroid.
they know that a little bit because, like, the fairy you can get and level fairy
Oh
out, and the fairy will heal you with your own potions throughout the
yeah,
game once you get a certain
I think.
health
Well,
threshold.
I think it's by design. Like
Yeah,
I
it's
think
by
that
design.
I think they have some of these like RPG-ish elements in it, like as how they want it. And that's what I'm saying is that's why I'm like I'm not knocking it for any of those
Sure.
things. It's just like because they are two of the parts of that genre, right? Like they're the two things that make that genre up. In my mind, I'm just like I prefer how Metroid does this.
Sure.
I,
Also,
I
it's
also
not
don't
the first
understand.
one of the Vanias. Yeah.
I also don't understand the
This is
level
the first one of the
grind.
Manias.
Sorry?
What did you? What? This isn't the. Did you say this is the first one of the
This
Manias?
is not. No, this is like this.
No.
Even when it comes like to the RPG elements, like that didn't start until like Simon's Quest, like Castlevania 2.
Right.
And this is shortly
Well,
Sure.
towards after that.
So that's what I said. I don't understand even still. Like I don't understand the level grind in this.
Well, the different areas have stronger enemies, so like if you were
Yeah.
to walk in there without being the proper level, you wouldn't be able to take care of it as well. And it just
Yeah.
to feel stronger and to go up there, like, hey, it's nice to get like some health when you level up. It's nice to get little stronger attacks as you go through there. It's just it's the start of them doing these kind of things in Castlevania games. Like it started a little bit with Simon's Quest, but kind of like started to evolve like when you start getting to Symphony of the Night.
I'm not going to hate on it too much because of when it came out, but it just feels unnecessary to me. Like you can still have.
They're trying to change it up because there's been like 7 Castlevanias where you all kind of do like not exactly the same thing, but like it's just a change of the formula for a franchise that has already had 4 or 5
That's fine.
games.
That's fine, but I didn't play the other 4 or 5 games, right? We're playing
Sure.
this one, and
Yeah.
for this purpose of the game, it just doesn't seem necessary. Like, you can still have stronger enemies. You're getting stronger through the weapons and armor you get. Like, you can still accomplish what you want to do without what, in my opinion, right now has been an arbitrary
But what you're
level
describing,
grind.
what you're describing is Metroid.
Sure, there you go. Right, so that's fine.
But that's what I'm
And
saying.
again,
That's what
Yeah.
I'm getting at. Is like I
Metroid gets
But-
items to, like upgrade, not health.
Right.
You do get health boost, but like you don't upgrade your
Yeah.
strength in Metroid. You don't upgrade
Yeah,
your
yeah,
intelligence.
you're not leveling
and
up
you
in
can and you
Metroid,
can
like,
still
you're just-
and if you wanted you could still find like the heart containers and the max health like that though because those are discoverable items
Sure.
in the game in the exploration, but the level itself and the attributes to the intellect and other things, like they're
Because by this
fine
point,
aesthetically, but
outside
they
of
just don't serve much
like
of a purpose.
outside of secrets, like because there are secret rooms, like there are walls that you can break down, there's floors that you can break down, and the only thing that's irritating is like sometimes like I did like that like in Metroid games they give you a hint where it's like, oh, like the floor looks a little cracked here, so like maybe I should try to do this or whatever.
Or the map
Whereas
shows
like
you like a little like there's no solid
yeah
line here in the wall.
yeah
I
that
found
kind of
I
stuff.
found a couple where I would just like literally be swinging an enemy and
Yep,
and hit a
and
wall,
then
and
you
it's just
hit it
like
and you're like,
you're like,
and you're like,
Anytime there's a
oh
hallway
okay,
that has a dead end, I'm like, can I hit that wall?
yeah. But like outside of the sea, that's the weirdest thing about this is that by the point where we go, because I went just a hair past this because I got the glasses, finished the fight, and then saw what happens. But that's for part two, obviously. But so, but even though all three of us will have probably completed around the same amount of the map to get to that glasses point to do what we needed to do, all three of us are probably going to have vastly different health and heart numbers solely because of the leveling up system. Even if we found most of the same in-map upgrades, because one of us might have been grinding out levels more than the other due to death or repeating areas or
Going
trying
back
to
and
trace
forth
back.
in eras, getting lost.
Yeah, like
which
you
I
level
did
up more.
plenty
And like that
times.
to me, it's just, yeah, it's just like it's not like it's fine. It's just weird. Like it's more of those things where it's
Do you
just
think
like
maybe that would help with like not having a difficulty setting? Like, hey, this game is really hard for me. I'm gonna sit here and go in and out of this room a bunch of times and level up, and
I'm
I
sure
can get much stronger, and that way makes other sections of the game easier, rather than
I'm
having an easy, hard, and
I'm
normal
sure
mode.
it's partially that, and it's probably just partially like
Column A, column
Iga
B.
straight up just like likes that mechanic. Like he just likes to have a level up feature and feel that sort of progression.
Number go
And that's
up.
also fine. Like to be fair, that's what Castlevania games are. So like they you can totally do like I'm
So it
not saying to
differentiates
change it or
them.
do it like but I think it's similar like that's why I brought up the Mario Mega Man thing is that I think it's similar to the discussion that people have about that is I think when like you have two things like that that make up a genre of Metroidvania, I think that you typically find that games will lean one way or the other. Like now that that genre has been established and we've had so many different break-offs from that, right? Like you have, I think, games that lend themselves different ways, right? Like Indivisible is an example of a game that like leans more towards the Castlevania side, where like
Guacamelee
you
is
are
more
finding a bunch of
Castlevania.
random
Yeah.
shit, and your companions are always leveling up, and you have a party, and you're doing this other shit. But then there's Ori and the Blind Forest that is like even farther towards the Metroid side, where there's barely any fucking combat in those games. Like you're
You get some
really just like
abilities and stuff like that.
yeah, your abilities, platforming, and then like there's like the random little like one attack spark that comes off like sort of like Samus's beam, but other than that, like that's really it. But I think that it speaks to like that sort of split between those games, and it's just there's different
What you
mechanics and different
prefer.
things that
Yeah.
that we've been interacting with in this that I'm just like this is fine, but it's not it's not what I would like prefer. That being said, there's like outside of I think the only thing that I truly think is like not of quality in this so far is
Translation.
yeah, but just like the writing, like the story, like it's just like I don't need any of this. I don't
They don't
need
give you a whole lot. I think they kind of agree with you. Towards like we put it in there because we feel like someone is telling us we need to have a story. But Dracula's Castle shows back up. You go in there to clear out the rooms and get items to get to the end boss, whatever that may be. And that's all they really need. They give you a little bit of a flavor with some Maria dialogue, maybe talking to the librarian for a hot second. But other than that, like you saw,
But that's
there
what I
was
mean, is
four things of dialogue in here, probably lasting a whole 5
But
minutes. Maybe that's
they're
even
they're
stretching
running
it.
they're running a 100% accuracy rate at being bad
yeah.
on
Like
each
it's
of
like
those scenes.
Translation.
every single like when you go to talk to the librarian, I'm like, this isn't good. When you go to talk to every single time you run into Maria, all those conversations, I'm like, Yep. Okay. And then if when you go to fight when you guys will go get there, but when we go to fight Richter with the glasses on, it's a very similar thing. His little speech that he lines up when you're just like, okay, it's so weird. Like I just yeah, it's the only thing that I think does not stand the test of time as far as this game is concerned.
And
But
I've heard that through a lot of times where it's like dialogue's bad, but some people are nostalgic for it. But people who aren't nostalgic for it, who go into the game like we are, they're like, "Wow, that's."
I laugh. Like I always think it's funny, but the reason that's why I'm saying it's
I'm gonna
bad is
hear
because
it.
I know that's not the intended thing.
Yeah.
But like at the even from minute one when Dracula yells at you, I was like, this is hilarious. Like it's just not. I know that's not what's intended, but
Yeah.
it is very funny.
The only
But
thing I've legitimately not liked about this game, minus some of the enemies, um, is the clock tower area. I don't know what it was. Something about the animation that I physically had a hard time distinguishing between. So, like, that area for me, for some reason, was really difficult. Just with like the contrast of colors and like my actual, I wear
oh
glasses,
sure,
Being able to
whatever.
discern what's a
Um,
platform, what's an animation.
yeah, there was yeah, just that area I had trouble with physically, like just being able to tell the difference in some of the stuff and the contrast. But otherwise, the areas have been fine. No,
Yeah,
it's been fine. Incredibly frustrating.
I
no, yeah, I think it's
I'm not
great.
frustrated. I'm having a great time.
Yeah, yeah. From a gameplay perspective, I love it. That's the thing is that it's like when I'm playing it, I'm liking it. If it just I like looking at it. I like listening to it. Like all the
I
sprites,
have something
even
on the
the enemies,
background on YouTube, but like volume's down, like because I want to hear the whole volume of this. Even like the audio
even
sometimes
the
cuts out, but like most times
even
I'm
the
We
like
just
get
go
there.
ahead.
even the sprites like even from enemies that I think look goofy, I'm still
Still
like
good sprites.
yeah, I'm still like God, man, this sprite work is
Yeah.
just out of
Yeah,
this
the Cthulhu one or
world
whatever that you're
good.
talking about, Alex. Like that's it's a very goofy looking guy, but like the detail and like all like just the the intricate parts of that,
Intricacies.
yeah, the intricate parts of that character, like it's just very
I,
cool.
I think all these
the one
sprites
that
hold up for sure.
the
They
one
hold up.
they do the one that gets me every time. So they made a point with the alligator woman. When they die, she turns around and shows her butt.
Ah,
And the thing that gets me every
every once
time
in a
is
while.
like she has a butt and a crack, but her legs aren't split and they go straight into the tail. So does that alligator poop out of her butt? Or do they both have holes that they poop out of? I'm very
I'm gonna
There's
confused
not a
by this
question
I'm
on
going
that.
monster.
to I'm going to skip answering that to talk about a different sprite. So you guys both have the shield rod. So
Actually, I don't.
oh okay, you don't.
I know
So
of it.
okay, so
I don't know why you
maybe
guys don't
just
want to ask the tough questions. Somebody's got to be here
you
asking
can
the
just
tough
look it up.
It's
questions.
You
staying
can
here
just
for
look
me
it
in my
up.
private browsing section later on.
Yeah. So you can just look it up. But the shield rod, so Alex, try it the next time you play it. But it's like when you just go through all the shields that you have and then cast it. I forget which one it is, but one of them is straight up a nun that has her ass out,
I
like
love that.
just
I love
looking back
that.
at the
It's
camera,
like
like ooh, and then like her butt's
it's like
out.
the
There's
naked woman in the plant that like just
yeah,
yeah.
but
She wasn't
it's like
fully
when I
naked.
talk about when I tell you like it is half the screen large, like it's
Maybe
huge
All
and
right.
it's
I'll
very
just Google
detailed.
to see
Yeah,
if I have
we'll,
that
we'll be
shield.
googling
Honestly,
that
I'll
later.
try
honestly,
it.
while I talk about one of the other ones, Preston, if you want to pull it up, like do like Castlevania something like Shield Rod like animations or whatever, see if you can find an image of it. And you can put it in here. The other funny one that I went through was because the other ones are like, oh, here's like a horse, or here's like a demon, different ones. But if you use the leather shield, because I remember this one because it made me laugh, you do the leather shield, cast it, it is straight up just a cow, like a big fucking cow, like dairy cow, and it's just like boof screen, and it's just cow, and you're like, okay, and it's like defense up, and you're like, right on, my defense is up, I'm good.
Yeah, I just saw the cow and
I,
it automatically popped up immediately.
so we were
Yeah.
Preston. What we were talking about, what Christian and I had decided when we were on the other day playing Monster Hunter, is that at the end of this game, I am only going to take what you say with a grain of salt because regardless of how much you struggle or how much you hate it, because of the makeup to Jake, you will say it is okay. I, on the other hand, don't feel bad, so I can call trash trash when it's trash.
For
So,
starters, you know how I rate things and how I feel about games, and how something that's a bad game can also be just a fine
yeah.
game to me. So it's not really just
Yeah.
Jake thing; it's more of a me thing about how I feel about media in general.
So far, I will say so far, and this is just my experience with this game, so that's I'm just. But I personally feel like there is absolutely nothing in this game that has went to the level of trash for me yet.
No, I do not. I will not say that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, there's too much. There's too much of it that's good that I can say that there's trash, and there's things that I don't like. But I so far there has never been anything that has reached the
I
quality of trash.
I want to say like, oh, I thought of the like fucking Dark Souls joke like as we were doing this in the moment, but I'm not kidding. Like I was stuck bouncing between two enemies that were moving in a way that made it physically impossible for me to hit last night. And I literally said, like, I'm in this hotel room by myself. I literally went, I would rather be playing Dark Souls when that was happening.
So I think it's the Herald Shield that you're talking about, Christian. I don't think it's necessarily a nun, but it's a very pretty looking.
Oh, I
Maybe
don't
She's
know.
like in a blue robe, and she's
I
got
don't
kind of
know
like
if
a
I
nun
have
head
that.
thing on.
she just has blue hair with flowers in it.
Oh, maybe it's just the way I was looking at it, but it looked like it was kind of like wrapped up.
Okay,
like
that's a wrap. That's not blue hair. Okay, I see our blonde hair coming out.
Yeah.
Have you seen the Dark Shield one?
No, maybe I don't know.
It has just like a giant human skull with rocks around it, black background, but the skin is peeled off the face. That's fucking metal
Oh
as
yeah, yeah,
shit.
yeah. I did see that one. Yeah, but you saw
Oh,
the
you're
Herald
not-
one with the girl where her butt's out.
Oh yeah, no,
Oh,
like and
yeah,
then you get
she
some
just-
side boob there too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's just straight up like the girl on the sunscreen and the dog's pulling her pants. Like she's just all
I
butt.
know. Like I
Oh,
saw it
but-
and I was like, my lord. Like you were
She's
just
according to Symphony of the Night spells on FinalFantasyKingdom.net. I don't know why this is on here. She is a lovely maiden, is what she
Sure.
actually is.
So the last thing I guess then is that I just want to end on a question that we had earlier that was posed by Alex of him asking, where is that director now for Lords of Shadow? So he is currently
Not the guy who made this game.
no,
Lords
no,
of Shadow
definitely
guy.
not.
So we're on the same
Nope,
page.
nope, nope. So that is not the case.
Yeah.
Thank God. No, this guy is currently still one of the co-founders of Mercury Steam. It does not seem like he has done anything since
Be a founder.
2017. No, but you'll know why it makes sense why the games that he touches are the way they are.
Yeah.
So there's Castlevania Lords of Shadow,
Yes.
which by the way is some people have this rated it on the site that I'm looking at as an 8.1,
Dude,
which
people
is
like it. We've already had a discussion.
Yeah,
People
that's
like
crazy.
that game.
Yeah, well,
So-
everybody's allowed to vote Christian.
People like
and
Beyond
look
Good
what
and Evil
happened.
too.
So
So
yeah, like, I didn't
yeah.
like it. So either way. So Lord of Shadow 2, obviously another game that he did. And then there was a game called Space Lords, which I've never heard of, but he was part of that one. And then Preston, you'll remember this because it's the worst Metroid that has ever been created.
Oh, Other
Metroid
M?
Samus Returns. No. Yes, I'm thinking of Other M, not
Samus Returns
Sam-
is the remake of
the three oh, that's the one that Mercury Steam did. Yeah. So never mind.
That's a good
Okay, I mixed that one up. But yeah, so he did the Samus. He was part of the as additional crew, whatever the fuck that credit means, on Samus Returns. But otherwise, in his other role, he has been the only ones that he's actually been in like a in charge role was Lord of Shadow 2, and Space Lords.
Space
so it makes
Lords.
sense
Looks like a
that-
canceled co-op shooter.
Yeah. So, he currently looks like to be either, like, just co-owner right
Yeah,
now
he's
with some of the other
partial
people
founder.
of Mercury Steam. So, it seems like maybe he's
Taking a back seat.
better in the current role that he has as opposed to being hands-on with game development. Because, boy... Metroid Dread is great, and it seems very.
They changed hands of who's actually taking control of games there. So.
It seems great that he's not in that seat anymore. So, yeah.
But yeah. So any last words? Anything else they want to put out there?
no, no,
right.
we'll see.
I
So-
really want to I really want to tell Alex what happens.
What do you mean what
I can just tell him what
happens?
happens because he's gonna see it within like 5 minutes of playing the game after he beats Ripley.
So I just because I want to see his reaction.
Go ahead,
Okay,
tell him.
so for part two, we're gonna
I swear to
obviously.
God, if this game all of a sudden flips backwards, you have to play it like upside down or some bullshit. Like I'm not gonna play. I'm just gonna go get the bad ending.
So
Ding, ding, ding! Who's a winner?
you're
That'd be
gonna use
Mr.
your holy.
Alex.
You're gonna use your holy glasses. You're gonna go fight Richter, and I won't spoil. But you'll go to that fight, and when you do that, Maria shows up, and she's like, "Oh my God, you did it! You saved Richter!" And you're like, "I did it!" And then Richter's like, "Who are you?" And you're like, and he's like, "Oh, my mind was controlled by this crazy evil wizard." Blah blah blah.
Shaft.
And then yeah, Shaft. And then Alucard is like, I'm Alucard, I'm going to go try to put an end to this. And he's like, Alucard? The same person who helped my ancestor Trevor?
Yeah,
He's like, that was 300 years ago. And then he's like, anyways, and like Alucard just like, she's like, Maria kind of interjects and is like, don't worry about this. Like, you just need to go.
Yeah.
Like, I'll take care of him.
Mr.
So then
Vampire
you
Slayer, don't worry
leave.
about it.
Cutscene plays, and another version of Dracula's castle comes out of the sky, but upside down and connects at the tip. You run out and you open up the map and you start at the very tip, so it is the same exact map, but upside down.
Now, there's not as many things as you need to collect, things like that, but I would recommend, same thing that Jake said earlier, this game is about map scraping, so
Yep.
have
So
fun.
I have soul searching to do.
Yeah. Well, we also
I
might
might
want to take
just
this
pull up
2 weeks.
again.
I don't know if I have 7 hours in me this week to
yeah,
take
so
care
this
of that.
next chunk is actually going to be pretty beefy because
So-
there's going to be bosses all over
We'll
again.
do an
and-
episode in between this and part 2, just to give us enough time because it took me until the very end of last night to get to where I'm at now. It will take me that amount of time, if not, but I think it'll be a little less because I'll be more attuned to the game. There's not as much stuff. You're not trying to find secret stuff.
Yeah, and
So-
you are going to be able to travel a lot faster due to having all of the,
All the teleport stuff is still open. Yeah.
the pupper
Jake.
upgrades, and
Let me
No,
just
no,
talk to
not
Jake for
teleport.
a
No
minute.
teleport.
There's no way.
Jake, you're better off not listening to this part.
Yes.
I'm just going to
Little
tell you.
baby
Whatever he's
Jake.
going to say is not going to make you happy at all.
I actually see why Jake, like, the music is great. This game has a great little Dami Mommy in it. Like, there are things about this that I completely understand. But when you go through all of this and all of a sudden Dracula's castle comes upside down, nobody out there, including sweet baby Jake, went, I'm looking forward to this.
Sweet baby 4 pound Jake. 4 ounces Jake.
Nobody said that. Like, yeah, upside down.
But think about how many times someone might have played that game, got the bad endings, and like finally figured out, and like, there's a whole nother castle. Holy shit, this is
The
incredible.
bad ending sounds fine. We want to stop the castle, and you stop the castle. I
You're
don't
more than welcome to
understand.
take the bad ending, buddy. It's all up to you. But we're playing.
No, I'm gonna
Upside
finish
Down
it.
Castle.
I'm gonna finish it. I'm gonna finish it. Be angry about it.
We'll give you 2 weeks to
I'm gonna
finish
finish
this.
it.
I will say that from what I've seen, however long it took you to get through this first one, it's going to take you
About
just
the
about
same.
as long.
Yeah.
6 hours, about six.
Yeah,
10,
it's weird.
6, something
My
like that.
when I pulled up my save, it told me 4.5, but I definitely have like close to 7 hours of recording. So I think maybe when I pause it, it doesn't count the time. I've paused it
doesn't.
before and then looked up stuff. Yeah.
I had to stop and meditate. Not really meditate, but like take a beat last
Take a
night.
breath, yeah.
Right. Yeah. I lost a good like 26 minutes between like some incredible
Alex?
save points. Because
So-
they're like very long.
I
And I had to
fought-
I had to stop. It was like
So the first time that happened to me, I had to stop as well. I fought the doppelganger. I found the librarian. I bought stuff. I was going to go up the tower a little bit more. I died. It takes me to the save point before the doppelganger and the librarian. I'm like, man, that's on me.
Yeah.
I should have saved before I died. That's fine. It's okay. That was at the
Yeah.
very beginning of the game. I didn't know where all the save points were.
but I think when it happens, I don't think that maybe it does count your time. I don't know that it does.
I don't know. I don't know if death counts. I don't
Like-
think it does because it's you're loading a save point. So no, it wouldn't.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So I don't know what my actual save time is. I've put in about 6 hours. Easy.
I definitely put in. So, Christian, how long did it take for you to get to that point?
Cool.
You haven't said
So,
it yet.
It was like 345, 350, something like that.
Almost 4.
yeah. So there's that. Thanks for hanging out with us, everybody. For our part 1 of Symphony of the Night, check in with us in 2 weeks when we catch up on part 2 and finish off this game to varying degrees, undetermined on what those degrees will be.
No, it'll be the
For,
same degree for
for
everybody. We're finishing it.
maybe we'll see. We'll see what happens. No,
Yeah.
I'm gonna finish it. It'll be good. We'll finish it. We'll finish it. So yeah, thanks for hanging out with us. Don't forget to check us out next week. We're back with our normal sods. And yeah, with that, Preston, you know what to do.
Make sure to check in because Christian said no varying degrees. Who will get the good ending, the best ending, or the greatest ending? We'll find out because I'm not letting them know what it takes to get those endings. Hit it!
Thank you for listening to another episode of The Testing Room. To catch up on past episodes or check out the newest ones when they drop, follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts. If watching is more your thing, check out youtube.com/thetestingroom or Twitch TV/testingroompod. To leave comments and ask questions, follow us on Instagram @testingroompod and email us at testingroompod@gmail.com. See you next time.